Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla, let's go over the market, let's go over what has happened today. An absolutely wild day that we'll talk about. One of the wildest days I've seen for Tesla in quite some time. We'll go over that briefly as well, and we'll just go over Tesla stock and figure out what I think can happen next week and what I can, think can happen moving forward. So with all that being said and done, if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below where you get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates, etc. throughout the day, every single day. Options flow, which is a paid service. By the way, link down below for Black Box. It's a pretty sweet service. But, nonetheless, options flow and all that stuff for just $2.99 a month. So if you're interested, the link is down below. But let's just get right into it. Tesla closing the day actually down 3.63%, which is going to be putting us at just shy of $165 per share, which of course is going to be an underperformance, a pretty decent underperformance relative to the market, with a beautiful rally today after the most hideous candle I've seen in quite some time yesterday, kind of forming an inside day as well, which can potentially signal some continuation next week. We'll see. But let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla potentially formed a double bottom, right? Let's talk about the daily first, right? Potentially formed a double bottom. So there's a few bullish and bearish situations that I find myself looking at here, right? The bullish situations are, well, we formed this double bottom right here, right? That's a good sign. That is a very good sign, actually. In fact, I would argue, because we pretty much almost to the cent. Like today's low was what? 160.51, and the lows of these candles was 160.76 and 160.51 back here as well. The literal same low as this red candle back here that bottomed out, right? Literally, I think literally to the cents. Yeah, literally to the cent, which is weird. But nonetheless, we are arguably setting in a potential double bottom situation here. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward. But that's a good sign. That could be a bullish sign, right? We talked about this potential of the double bottom for quite some time, where you have it, essentially a W-shaped recovery like this, right? Now, is that guaranteed? Is that ready to happen? No. We obviously need to see more follow through, right? We need to see, a better confirmation from the bulls, really, right? To get a more convincing idea that, yeah, the double bottom is going to be holding true, and we are going to be most likely playing it out. The way you usually see double bottoms like this play out, so I guess this is what I'll be looking for in order to confirm this. Obviously, the most obvious thing is, well, you don't want to break 160 once again, because suddenly that double bottom, well, it's no longer a double bottom. That's the most obvious one. But in order to actually, truly execute this pattern and move up even higher, which is possible, right, is going to be a few things. First and foremost, there's three levels I'll be looking at. The level that I'll be looking at first is a break of this red trend line, roughly, which will pretty much be somewhere in the low, very low 170s next week. Following that, we also have, of course, that 175, 174, 173, 173 to 175 level, not too far above, which is the level we've, previously acted as support here, resistance, a little bit of support, now resistance again yesterday, for instance, on this candle that we had, where I think it's spinning top candle. So, that will be pretty crucial, but probably the most important level, I think the level that really, really, really matters, the level that I really think this can start triggering this double bottom pattern, is going to be essentially, so the way you look at these double bottoms is, if you have like this, right, double bottom like this, right? So you have this part. This is the most important part. Why? Because this is kind of like that. I don't know if apex is the right word here, but it's the most critical part. It's almost like the neckline of this double bottom pattern, because what you want to be doing to really truly trigger this is you want to be breaking the tip of the W's center, which is going to be this situation right here. So in other words, if we can break pretty much above 183.5 roughly, and especially start closing candles above it on the daily, that would be bullish. That would be bullish. I think that would pretty much confirm this double bottom is ready to play out. And I think, it's hard to be too bearish on Tesla from then on forth. I personally believe. Again, we don't know if that'll happen for sure yet, but those are the levels, especially, like I said, 183.5. That is crucial. Probably the most important level. More important than 173 to 5. 183-ish. Very, very, very important to, trigger this double bottom pattern, which I think will potentially happen, right? There is a very real possibility. We'll talk about the risks, of course, in the bearish aspect of this video, which I'll get into soon. But the other aspect, like I talked about before, can of course be this inverted head and shoulders pattern. Now, if this double bottom pattern does play out and we do make our way back up here, right? We break this level here, we make our way back up. Great. What does that mean? Well, most likely we'll come back up to 200. Most likely get a rejection here, like we did over here, and like it was a support over here, right? It'll most likely turn back into a resistance. which is pretty normal. And I think from there, we'll essentially come back down here, and this will set up the right shoulder of the inverted head and shoulders pattern. And I think from there, Tesla will rally substantially higher. And if all of these patterns hold true, Tesla is looking for a pretty ridiculous reversal. Now, again, I want to make it very, very clear. There is nothing so far suggesting that this will take place. This is just a prediction, I guess, but it's not guaranteed. And like I said, in order for these patterns to even have merit, 183.5 is pretty much the most important level. If 183.5 is broken, phenomenal. We also have, of course, the 21 EMA sitting at pretty much 175. That would also be great because we're closing above the 21 EMA and 183. That to me will pretty much destroy most bearish theses here. That's how I look at it right now from the bullish perspective, right? Don't forget, we also have the 5 and the 13 EMA still cross to the negative side, right? The bearish side. So that's going to be something to watch out for. But Tesla is pretty close to pretty oversold territories on the band's regression, the reversion, if you will. So, it is, in somewhat oversold-ish levels right now, but especially if it gets to the 150s and especially the 140s, it'll be very, very oversold. And that's where I will be very happy to buy more shares. So that's the bullish scenario. The bearish scenario is, well, pretty much the opposite. You want to pretty much break 160. If 160 breaks, we lose this bottom channel. We lose 160 double bottom support. And we most likely bleed back into the 50s, 150s rather, potentially even as low as the 140s, like I showed you before, like a week ago at least, if not a couple of weeks ago. We have this massive trend line all the way from back here that we can come down to, find support at, which is in the low 140s, right? So keep that in mind. That is a possibility, right? Overall, we're still in a bearish trend. We're still setting lower lows, lower highs, even though you can argue that maybe we're trying to change that trend off of today's double bottom. That is a potential, right? That is a potential bullish thesis. And, it is kind of, putting a little bit of cracks in the bearish thesis, I would say, but not enough just yet, right? The MACD is potentially looking to flip bearish here, so keep that in mind. It's not bearish just yet, it's still bullish, but it's close to flipping bearish. The momentum on the stochastic is a little bit weak here. The RSI is below 50, so there is some weak momentum still for Tesla, right? There is definitely some work for bulls to do in order to really break out and really start, reigniting that bullish thesis. But at the moment, Tesla is more bearish than bullish for sure. But the bulls have a very good shot with this double bottom situation happening here and being at the bottom of this channel. So that is a real possibility. Now, let's talk about very quickly about something what happened today, right? So if you're not unaware, and this is what I talked to my members about today, we had this substantial sell-off that was pretty much a 6% sell-off that we're trading at. Yeah, we were at like 170, and then Tesla sold off to 160, right? Pretty much almost $10 a share, which is almost a 6% drop almost instantly, right? It happened within like 15 minutes or something like that, right? And then we had a massive rise not too far after that, pretty much up another 5%, erasing almost all of those, all of these losses, right? And what happened was Reuters released an article that Elon replied to saying that it was essentially false. Let me go ahead and see if I can quickly find that while we're talking about this. Let me go ahead and go over here. Let me go ahead and scroll down where Elon replied to it. It was not too far out. It was right before that. Where was it? Can't find it. I think it's somewhere around here. Yeah, here we go. It was this one here, right? Reuters essentially said how, they're pretty much scrapping the idea and, the process of creating that, 25 Model 2 quote unquote car that, everyone's been talking about, right? The stock tanked right here. You can see on that news instantly, like 6%. And then Elon replied to this post saying that Reuters is lying again. And then it pretty much rallied back up and erasing almost all of those losses almost instantly as well. Absolutely wild day. And I was talking to my members about this as well. Right here, Tesla tanking on the news that they're no longer doing the Model 2 / lower cost vehicles focusing on FSD. But then I talked about pretty much right after that, which was near the bottom. I wouldn't say it was at the bottom, but it was, somewhere around these levels over here, right? I said how to my members, sold some cash secured puts for next week on this huge down spike. Reuters has reported false news on Tesla many times. And if not, I am willing to buy in the low 150s. And I also sold 140s, which I bought back for half the discount already. 4 hours back to being in quite oversold territory. This was when we were still selling off, right? You can see we're approaching that double bottom right here, right? And then we had that massive candle, which is where Elon replied. And just like that, Tesla has a large buying candle on insane volume. This is why Reuters is a piece. Reporter, thanks for the free money on those sold puts, I guess, right? So I was talking to my members about this. I was leading them through this. And a lot of people, thankfully, they said because they listened to me. And I mean, I helped them not get fearful on the situation, that they held through and if anything enter bullish positions, right? This is the things that I try to do on the member section as well. So again, the link is below, just $2.99 a month if you're interested. But I don't run away from these scenarios. When we have these kind of scary situations happen on Tesla, like I'm here, I'll be talking about it. I'll be posting my thoughts about it for better or for worse. I don't run away from these kind of situations. In fact, I pretty much bought this dip, right? Because I had a feeling this was kind of bullshit. But nonetheless, again, with all that being set aside, it was a good trade. Great. But again, we have to get emotions out of the way and look at this, from an emotionless standpoint. And, Tesla's still not out of the woodworks. I think this double bottom has merits. I think it's looking pretty decent. It has good potential, but there's still some work to be done by the bulls. Again, the most important level, 183, but even above 175 will be a damn good start, right? Now, looking at options flow here, right? Tesla all over the place today, of course, with all these kind of news. The main thing that I personally liked that I saw today was this, right? So this is gonna be the first thing I'll show, which is gonna be a bunch of calls came in today, right? We have a 3.5 million here, 500,000, 1.5 million, and 2 million calls that came in, all 165 strike, all calls, all for September 20th, 2024. So just a few months out, right? What is that, like 5 or so months out? Something like that, give or take. About 6 months out, 5-6 months out. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is, some pretty heavy volume here or buying pressure on calls for September. So clearly someone's pretty bullish moving in towards, the later half of this year. So that's pretty good to see. That makes me quite bullish. But with that being said, you can see towards the end of the day, a lot of puts came in here on Black Box. Link down below if you're interested, you get a discount. But a lot of puts came in for Tesla here, right? A substantial amount of puts came in for Tesla here towards the end of the day, towards the last hour and a half. Pretty much most of them are for next week or the 19th or the 26th. So a lot of puts came in for Tesla for the rest of this month. So clearly the bears are not done yet. And clearly they think that Tesla has more room to fall, which wouldn't surprise me. And the reason I say that wouldn't surprise me is because even though Tesla looks like it may be potentially setting up, a reversal here, right? It's looking like it wants to set up a bullish reversal here with this double bottom play, right? It really does. Truly, truly, truly. But I am a little bit hesitant on the market here, right? This market, the way it's positioned right now, I have to say I'm not a fan, right? This market looks like it may finally look to get that potential correction, right? Doesn't mean the market is just going to completely crash, obviously, but a bit of a correction down to somewhere around the 0.32 levels, right? Like for instance on QQQ, around the 408-ish level. SPY, I think around the 480 level to pretty much retest the breakouts of the previous highs. Same thing with QQQ, breakout and retest the previous breakout highs, which also will be somewhere in the low 400s. I don't think that's completely impossible. So for QQQ, that would be a drop of another about 7%. Not impossible. And that would be what brings Tesla down to about that 150s to 140s level. Because if QQQ drops by about 7% and Tesla has about a 2 to 2.5 beta, well, that would mean Tesla drops about, we'll say 14, give or take, of course. It's not perfect, but let's just say it drops about 14%. That's pretty much going to be dropping us right into this 140 range, which I think is still a real possibility, right? I don't think that's completely something you should ignore if you're a bull. I think you should definitely take this into consideration that, it definitely can happen over the next month or two. That is a possibility. So that's what I'm preparing myself for. I am starting to buy this dip. Like I said, I am selling calls against my shares. I have more cash secured puts for next week that I just resold pretty much like half an hour ago that I'm willing to buy, and I'm willing to start slowly scaling in at incremental levels through cash secured puts. That's my strategy. There's a lot of fear around Tesla. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of negativity. But this is usually the best time to accumulate, in my opinion, not financial advice, just my opinion. And that's exactly what I'll be doing. Kind of the way people were doing when Meta was there. I'm not a fan of the Meta business, so I didn't. But back when Meta was down here and just tanking, everyone was saying Meta's going bankrupt. And what did it do right after? Bam, it spiked. Same thing with Netflix, right? Back when Netflix was absolutely just tanking, which one of my biggest regrets not getting on this, because I got scared. I did. I love Netflix, but I didn't have enough conviction. I didn't buy. I wish I did. But completely just reversed the trend because everyone was saying Netflix is doomed. That subscriber thing that they're going to do is the worst idea ever. They're just going to shoot themselves in the foot here. And then look what happened ever since. And now the same thing is happening for Tesla. Now, granted, I don't think it's done yet. I definitely think there's still potentially more pain ahead. Like I said, 150s to 140s, I think is a very real possibility. But people are very negative right now, and I like that. I very much like that. That makes me very, very greedy. A little too greedy, I would say. That's why I'm trying to pace myself. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. But that's kind of my current thought process. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. This is not financial advice. And of course, I will see you for next week. So until then, have a great day. Peace.